Hi, my name's Dayle Adams from Planning Ahead of Time, and this week I'm talking with Rob from My Trusted Wills. Rob, recently I actually introduced a client to you, and you did a will review for them. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit and tell us what happened with it.
Yes, this is something that I come across on a not irregular basis. We did the will review for this potential client of ours, and the first thing that we picked up was that professional entity had gained permission to put themselves in as executors. Nobody, when writing their will, needs to nominate professional executors at that stage. Couple of reasons. First one, nobody knows what the circumstances are going to be at the time of their passing, whether they're going to be straightforward, complex, or whatever. And by nominating a professional executor, you are opening up the estate to considerable fees. Um, and the standard fee tends to be somewhere between 4 and 5% of the total estate value. Now, if you take into account the average estate value at being £500,000, you're looking at anywhere between 20 and £25,000 as fees for a professional to act on that estate. And they're not capped either. Unlike entities that can help and assist on probate that have their fees capped by government legislation, the professional entities have no cap. So, because it tends to be done on a time basis, this can go on and fees can go up to as much as those individuals deem them necessary.
Yeah.
I've seen fees as high as 50, 60, 70,000 pounds against estates, which should be going to loved ones rather than in professionals' pockets.
Yeah. Well,
So
this person was very shocked because they didn't even realize that the people that had done their will previously were actually in there as executors, and they didn't understand what that meant. And so they were very, very surprised when they came back to me and said, this is what's being found. And they weren't expecting to actually have anything wrong with their will because it was fairly basic.
it is fairly basic, and that is obviously one of the very first paragraphs that contained in a will is who the executors are. Uh, from experience, and I see this on average maybe 5 or 6 times a month. It is common practice, and it's also very common where you get these no fee wills because nothing in this life comes for free. So
Very
there
true.
has to be a payback at some stage. So my key message on executors is that nobody needs professional executors. If anyone has a worry or a concern, I'm more than happy to do a will review. It could turn out that everything's absolutely fine and fully compliant with legislation, etc. Or it might just turn out that there is a problem or an issue that needs addressing. Um, and also, people need to be aware that they shouldn't really be putting professionals in for probate work.
Yeah.
Something we include in all of the wills that we generate is that without actually imposing a restriction on the executors, they can, if they wish, seek help and advice from us as an entity at the time of probate.
But
And
it's if they wish, it's not a they have to.
exactly, exactly
Okay.
is if they wish, because again, nobody knows what the situation's going to be. Uh, Probate, if it is sort of loved ones, children, etc., who are in as the executors, probate is a very emotional time. So we can understand people wanting to have help and advice. But again, different people react in different ways. So it's a decision that should be made by the executors at the time that that will is becoming active. And if they want help and advice, everything that we offer with our specialist probate partners is always on a fixed fee basis. Those fees are always known upfront by the executors before they decide what, if any, help they want.
Yeah, I must admit, this person was very grateful because they, as I said, they didn't realise that that was in the will. They weren't the person that organised the will as such. They signed it, but they weren't necessarily the person that organised it. And then to find out that somebody could have taken up to 5% of the estate was a real shock. So they were very grateful that they'd spoken to me, and I told them to seek some guidance from you and have the free review, because I think you looked at other elements with them as well. But that was the one that we found most shocking. And for that, it's the reason I said to you, we really do need to do a little talk about this, because we would have had no idea. They had no idea. And actually, it's so important because people
Absolutely.
do the
Yeah.
will and then they just put it away.
People don't realise they sign the will, as you say, they will then store it, archive it, etc.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say, just very quickly, I came across very recently, was a will that had been put together by a professional that, on doing the will review, we uncovered that had been witnessed by relatives within the family. Those wills were in place for 12 years. But they would never ever have passed probate. They were useless because a will cannot be witnessed by anyone named in a will or anyone related to anyone named in a will. So this is why these will reviews are so, so important.
Yeah. Well, if somebody would like to speak to you about a will review, how do they get hold of you?
Right. Well, there's various ways they can get hold of us. Probably the best way would be via our info at email address, which I'll
Okay.
give you. It's info at mytrustedwills.co.uk.
That's lovely, Rob. Well, thank you very much for taking time just to come on and speak a little about it. I think it's really important for people to know.
Thank you, Dayle. Thank you. Good luck. Take care.